Hello, everybody. Hello from greetings from Bosnia, greetings from Sarajevo. Usually I have tasks as difficult as today. I'm usually speaking after the lunch or at the end, or after the very great speaker. So all three conditions are met now. So I'm in my usual role. So as I was listening to today's presentations and today's speakers, I kind of got the thinking that actually we all speak the same thing, which is actually very, very good and very positive. So you will see in my presentation, I already mentioned, I already emphasized some of the things that were, for example, said in the previous panel, or in the other presentations. So when we talk about Bosnia and the AI and what's actually our role, Bosnia and Herzegovina is the only country in the world, actually, that I know of, that doesn't have a national CERT at this moment. It's not only a problem of national CERT. We don't have a national legal framework regarding cybersecurity. We don't have a national cybersecurity strategy at almost any level of government. And I was explaining my friends, I was trying to explain Greg from how actually complicated administration in Bosnia works and different political and organizational levels. So we just, in one part of our country, on the semi-local level, we have a legal framework that's critical infrastructure law and information security law. So that's the only thing that we have in Bosnia. So thinking how to survive actually in the modern world, like we are digitalized, don't get me wrong, Bosnia as a country, we have our health data is digitalized, our financial data is digitalized, so we are part of the Google Pay system. Everything is working, but it's not legally covered. And if it's not legally covered, there's actually no accountability to provide some service or to provide some service level. So that was the problem. So what we try to do is to create an organization that isn't connected to any government structure, which at some time is a bad thing, but at sometimes could be a positive thing. So not to clash with the government and their small steps in cybersecurity, we decided that we will work with academia, that we will work with civil society organization and independent media. And like we are a transitional society, we are development democracy, so very large part of the services that actually should be provided by the government is actually provided by the civil society. So it was very important to us. We thought that it's very important to provide services to them, and we had you all know that we had in the UK, we had a couple of years ago, we had a couple of cases when safe houses for domestic violence victims were compromised, their data was compromised, so that resulted in, unfortunately, even with a couple of death cases. So the abusive husband found out the locations, and that resulted in the death of their wives. So it's very important that even, it's hard to say, but most of the civil society organizations are not that much into this kind of thinking. Like they're providing safe houses, for example, and that's it. They don't think about cybersecurity, and usually they don't have any means or resources for providing cybersecurity. So that's when we step in and we created Cybersecurity Excellence Center as a research hub, as a national CERT of last resort. And we are working in that capacity even now, because still in our country, we started 2 years ago and nothing actually changed, except CESAC, as we call it, is trying to work their thing. In our work, we developed a couple of tools that were groundbreaking in Bosnia. First, we developed single-handedly in our CVE and CVDE tracker. So we can provide that access to that data freely to everybody interested. We also became a part of Shadow Server Foundation, and we were first in the region, and we were first and still only one in the region that has sensors, shadow server sensors in our own infrastructure and monitoring the whole of the Bosnia IP space. So, and what we are very proud that we develop on the basis of, and I know that you all have your own products and that you are vendors, but coming as an independent organization, coming as somebody who is working with academia mostly and very, very limited resources, most of our work is based on dealing with open source software, so open source solution, so that we are not vendor based and vendor locked, because we are working with a lot of different organizations, different, let's say, capacities and different size. So we developed on the basis on Open Canary. We developed the front and back end in-house, and we called it the CoinNet. We created a honeypot net, small honeypot networks in all of Bosnia and Herzegovina. We now just have like 10 or 15 nodes. It's not that much, but for the Bosnia and Herzegovina, without any infrastructure regarding cybersecurity, that was a big step. So we run those honeypots as a virtual machines. We run it on Raspberry Pis. We run it on ASUS Tinkerboards and all other kind of small computers. It's not very resource hungry, but it provides us data. Why is that important? I will come a little bit later to that. So our operations, you can see, is mostly at the moment is mostly reactive. So some organization that we work with have some incidents. We even helped a couple of government agencies unofficially, because officially it's not possible. And our goal is not to be reactive, because when you're reactive, usually, let's be honest, I mean, usually data is compromised, data is already somewhere on the dark web. So even if we bring the company back to the work, the damage, some kind of damage is already there. So our goal is to evolve from incident handling to predictive defense, let's say it that way. So this is just one of the things that we think, and listening today's speeches and today's presentations, think that we are on a good road, good path. So as I said, reaction is always much less useful than preventing some incident. So early detection of anomalies and localized threats, automatization of classification and prioritization, and intelligence is something that we try to work really hard. It's because in Bosnia, because of the structure of the country and political life, half of the country is actually trying to get into NATO, half of the country is trying to get into Russia, actually. So so this kind of intelligence on trends, intelligence of threat actors is really important for us so we can behave accordingly. Also, coming to AI, we would like to use, because the shadow server data that we have is actually humanly impossible to track. So we will we are already trying to use AI as assisted forecasting. And by predicting accidents, at least in some way, in some percentage, we are trying to prevent and to make the response to a threat much more useful. But as I said, we are coming from Bosnia, and as a team of 5 to 10 people, which are not all technical, and we are the biggest team in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So you can imagine that how the constraints and how the real world is impacting us. So, to train AI, we need good data. We don't have any data officially in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The only data that we have is the actual data that we providing. So that's shadow server, and that's why we created the CoinNet, so we can see, is it comparable to the global trends. Fortunately, now we see, after 2 years, we see that if you are looking in some global security report, the trends are actually almost the same, statistically are actually the same as the trends that we are detecting in our, if it's I don't know, relationship databases, if it's voice over IP, if it's, I don't know, Android devices, then the same trend is happening in Bosnia. Also, as I said, there's no infrastructure to get to that data or to get there to have like points of detection. It would be really helpful, and now we are working in creating that network of, for example, ISPs doesn't share any data between themselves or between anybody else. We have, for example, talking about critical infrastructure, we have three operators of electrical power, and they are not sharing any data between themselves. So we are not trying to put ourselves in the middle to share, at least provide data to us so we can do our job. And if there's some really high-level risk, then we will accordingly inform others. Because we are now trying, we are at the first steps actually as a membership to FIRST and TF CERT, but as you know, as not government-backed and not without. For example, you all know that one of the requirements for being on level 4 in the FIRST and to join the TF CERT actually is to have a compliance with national legal framework. We don't have national legal framework, so how can I be compliant? So that's something that we are working on. But the friends at the FIRST and friends at TF CERT are very reasonable in providing the ways of working around that. Also, as a developing country, as we still lack AI expertise, but I would say that everybody kind of lacks AI expertise. Even, you know, first it was cybersecurity, now it's AI and machine learning. It's kind of sexy words. So everybody and their cousin is actually doing cybersecurity and AI. So there's a lot of noise there. So we are trying to comb through those noise and try to find the real AI experts in Bosnia and in the region so we can work together. Also connected with the open source initiatives. So because we are in a specific position, we are not just cybersecurity provider. We are also working as a CERT. So as a CERT, independent CERT, as somebody who has to gain trust from every side. Going with just one vendor for AI would risk black boxing because we have to private, especially in some legal cases, have to private the process of learning, provide the data sets for the training. So it's not always possible to all of the vendors. There's the vendors who are very open to that with some NDA agreements, but not all of them. And one of the things that I think is common to all of us, that's economic reality. Should we invest more in people or should we invest more in platforms? And as we all know, AI is the first revolution in industry, in economy, in global economy that's actually not creating new jobs. Like previous industrial revolutions created a paradigm change, but created the new jobs in large numbers. Now with automatization and AI, usually we all sell AI as it can replace 10 of your people. So we are losing 10 of those jobs. So now we are thinking the best compromise between AI and reality and actually people. So what was our first steps? First, we tried to see if AI, instead of people, can classify incidents, because also the number of incidents is enormous when we think of countrywide, region-wide, or I don't know, globally. And also we worked with the university in Sarajevo, in all of those cases, trying to integrate the multiple feeds, trying to build the dashboards so the decision makers can see what's actually happened. And I must say that our first report that we provided, it was done by support and coordination with the UK government. We brought in the room like this, we brought like around 20, 30 our MPs, and we provided those dashboards. And you know, like I know that one ping to our honeypot is not actually attack, but when I say to them, like we had like 4,000 ping this minute, like we are speaking, it kind of means something to them. And when they see the animation of attacks that some group from India or some group from UK or some group from Netherlands, that's probably proxy attacks, but some group from China is actually, at this moment, pinging our systems, it kind of makes them think more. And as a result of that first step was actually initiative in the national parliament to create a national cybersecurity agency. They provided the first legal document. It takes slow, it takes much more time that we will be happy with, but nevertheless, that was our intention. Most of those actual data was brought out from the whole data was mined by AI and was presented by AI. And also all the illustrations for this presentation was created by AI. So that's how we also use it. So next steps that we did is, as a small team, as a very small team, we engage in a couple of EU and global initiatives. So we are now becoming, because our country is not part of the initiative, now we as a persons, individuals, and now as a team are actually becoming part of the, for example, GFCE, trying to work in consortiums with the Concord initiative in EU. So it's a big step, it's a great endeavor, but we are trying to do it anyway. So what we are now planning to do in the next period is to create our own cyber range, but it will be based on the EU open source cyber range that was developed in Brno, actually, with the University of Brno. So we have a good cooperation with Czech UKIP. Did I pronounce it correctly? Yes, UKIP, and the University in Brno, so we can provide a training for our team how to create scenarios for the cyber range, because I mean, putting it's kind of just a 2 days work, but to really handle all the things in the cyber range and providing to training to other students and other government agencies is a completely different thing. And trying to create AI, that is our child and small experiment, totally AI-powered SOTs. So that's something that we are trying. And I know that today we talked about and that our host provides very good solutions for that, but it's different when you do it in the university, when you do it with a very, very small teams. And we think that all our research, actually, and our activity provides a good base for developing AI exercises, AI curricula parts for the universities in Sarajevo. So that's why we are cooperating with, 6 or 7 universities in Bosnia, dealing with cybersecurity and dealing with developing AI approach. So almost, I said most of these things already, but what we, and why I put we in capital case is because I think not just we as a team, but we as a community in Bosnia, in region, in Europe, and globally should do together. First, build regional sandboxes for AI experimentation. We are preparing a project now for exactly that, because I think even if we are globally connected, even if cybercrime doesn't know for any border, I think that maybe Montenegro or Bosnia could be a little bit at least different from, example, US or Great Britain. So it's something that we try to do on a regional scale. Of course, promote open AI models in training. That says that are locally sourced, not just the data from, Germany, but the data from Serbia, North Macedonia, Albania. And usually we are focused on WBB6, so that's countries that we are interested most, but we are open to cooperation with anybody. So data infrastructure, not just tools that we can provide, so that we have infrastructure for the sharing of data, vulnerabilities, and so on. Of course, something that's maybe very specific to Bosnia and the region, a lot of these activities actually supported by the foreign government, not the local government. So aligning our needs with the views of the foreign government is something that's task on itself and an art on itself. Unfortunately, you know what happened with the new US administration, so now we are in heavy negotiating with the EU partners. And also, I think that, as I said, about losing jobs and all of those things, like people are afraid of AI in multiple levels. I don't know why, but let's say that they are. The perception is one thing. So to treat AI as a tool for augmentation, not substituting the people. So we are a small team. We can't have like 40 people in our SOC, but if we can have 5 and AI, that could be kind of good solution. And at the conclusions, font went. Just a couple of my thoughts for shower thoughts, let's say that way. Predictive cybersecurity is a mindset, not just technology. Emerging countries see certs, so small certs can benefit, but should be cautious how they treat AI because of all the commonly known hallucinations that AI could provide. That's why I'm saying that there should be people with AI, not just AI. So also that comes with the ethics of data, on whose data we will train actual AI. So that's always the privacy concerns there, affordability and context. So as I said, it's not the same like in 500,000 countries as Montenegro and I don't know France. So it's not the same landscape. And AI must be intended to serve, not to substitute people. And for me, thank you.